Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy Boulanger, and up next on the GM, we're going to be talking about the AFC North. Who is the beast of the AFC North? It's a part of our 32 for 32 series where we will cover all 32 teams, division by division. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So you guys know that every single year, every team has high hopes of winning the division, making the playoffs, winning the conference, and eventually ending up in the Super Bowl and bringing home the Lombardi Trophy. But sometimes that doesn't really happen. And a good indicator for a team's chances is kind of based on the foundation that they leave the previous year with. Did they end strong? Did they play well? Did they retain their free agents? Did they bring in some key pieces? Did they fill holes? Did they have a good draft? All those things are super, super important in a team's chances of division champs, conference champs, and Super Bowl champs. And so this year is going to be no different. So we're going to take a look at Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, and the Browns. Who is the beast of the AFC North? And so with no further ado, man, let's get this thing going. So in this first video, first and second video, by the way, we're going to do offense in the first video, and then we're going to take a look at the defense next video, and we're just going to look at the talent and big time performers, and then we'll get into the breakdown in the video number 3 of some key players, key positions. All right. So first up, man, let's look at the record from the AFC North last year. So Cincinnati Bengals won the division with a 12-4 record. And we understand that 12-4 don't equal 17, it only equals 16. But you remember that the Damar Hamlin scenario that happened on field ended up with the cancellation of that Cincinnati Bengals Buffalo Bills game. That's how they end up with a 12-4 record. The Baltimore Ravens come in second with a 10-7 record. We understand that Lamar Jackson played only 12 games, and Tyler Huntley and Anthony Brown finished out that season. In fact, if we're honest, Lamar Jackson played 11.1 games because I think he got hurt in the first quarter of that Denver Broncos game, if my memory serves me correctly. The Pittsburgh Steelers finished at 9-8, and the Cleveland Browns brought up the rear with 7-10. Now, I believe I think all these teams except for one have a potential to increase their win percentages and totals. And when you hear me talk about peak throughout this video, that just means that I believe this team is at its peak and it doesn't have much room for improvement. So when we look at the Cincinnati Bengals with 12-4, I think they're peak. I think that 12, 13 wins is their peak. So I don't think that they have much room to improve, just maybe an ability to sustain their level of success. I think the Baltimore Ravens certainly have a lot of room to improve. At a minimum, I think they improved by 3 games. Barring any kind of unforeseen injuries and things like that, I think they can be a 13-4 team. I know I said 12-5, but I updated that in the last video when I did when I did schedule predictions. So I believe that the Baltimore Ravens have the potential to improve 2 to 3 games, specifically 3, and be a 13-4 team, which puts them in competition for the division championship, excuse me. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they have the potential to be a better than 9-win team. I think they have the potential to improve 2 to 4 games as well. 2 to 4 games will put them at 11-6, 12-5, or 13-4. Now, all the teams can't finish 13-4 and 12-5, but I do think that what Pittsburgh has done this past year gives them an opportunity to improve that win-loss record for sure. And the Cleveland Browns, I do not think they're a 7-win team. I think they have the potential to also improve 4 to 6 games as well. And there's a lot of circumstances involving all these teams being able to improve. Lamar Jackson been playing 17 games. I certainly pushes Baltimore up. I think Kenny Pickett having a full off season and a full season under his belt, I think improves his ability to play the NFL game. And then I think Deshaun Watson coming in with no controversy and healthy, I think also gives Cleveland the potential to improve their win-loss record as well. So I think all these teams have the potential to be 12-5 or better. Now, would that happen? I don't know, but I think the potential is certainly there. All right, let's look at some leaders. Okay, so when we go down, we're gonna look at passing leaders. Okay. So we got Joe Burrow for the Cincinnati Bengals coming in with about 4,400 yards, a little over 4,400 yards from last year. He had 36 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. You had Lamar Jackson. He had a little over 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, by the way, and 7 interceptions. You had Kenny Pickett. He had over 2,400 yards. Um, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I got to check on that. 9 interceptions. I think that's right. That seems a little high because he didn't play as a start of the full season. And then I got Deshaun Watson coming in last place with a little over 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Now, when you look at this, when you look at these statistics from last year, I think Joe Burrow is peaked. I think Joe Burrow is between 44 and 4,600. So he's right at his peak. I think that Lamar Jackson is nowhere near his peak. I think he has the potential to almost double his production from last year. When I say double, I'm talking about over 4,000 yards passing. I'm talking about 34 plus touchdowns. And I think he tops out at between 10 and 12 interceptions. So I think that he has a lot of room to grow and a lot of potential to do so. Kenny Pickett, I think with a full offseason, like I said earlier, I think he has the potential to improve his statistics in all 3 major categories: yards, passing yards, touchdowns, and interceptions. And Deshaun Watson certainly will not finish with 1,100 yards this next season. And so I think all of these guys have the potential to increase their numbers, except Burrow. I think he's at his peak. So it looks like, like I said earlier, a super competitive AFC North. All right, let's look at rushers from last year. We got Nick Chubb coming in first place with over 1,500 yards. You got Najee Harris coming in with over 1,000 yards. You got Joe Mixon coming in with 814, and surprise, surprise, Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens coming in at 761. Now, when you look at these guys, I think Nick Chubb is at his peak. I think he's going to be between 14, 1,600 yards, just like he is right now. And so I think that you can probably expect some similar numbers to what Nick Chubb put out last year. I think Najee Harris is probably at his peak with the Pittsburgh Steelers' ability to throw the ball and their wide receiving corps. I think Najee Harris just comes out to be a good balance to that wide receiving corps. And so I think he's somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 yards, just like he is now. Joe Mixon is an 800-yard rusher, give or take. And so I think he comes in with very similar statistics next year. And then Lamar Jackson, I believe that 761 comes down. I do not believe that Lamar Jackson will run the ball nearly as much as he has the last couple of years for sure. I think that we will be more of a passing team. And I think when we see Lamar Jackson run, I think you'll see more scrambles and way, way less called run plays. We will have some called run plays for sure, but I think it'll be way, way less. So I think that number for Lamar Jackson comes down. And so I think all of these guys are pretty much where they are, except Jackson. I think his rushing numbers will come down in 2023. And the last major offensive category is going to be receivers or receiving yards. Amari Cooper led the AFC North with over 1,100 yards. Jamar Chase came in second with 1046. T. Higgins, his Cincinnati teammate, came in with 1029. Deontay Johnson comes in with almost 900. Mark Andrews, who's not a receiver but a tight end, came in with 847. And then George Pickens, who is a rookie for the Steelers, came in with a little over 800. When you look at these numbers, Amari Cooper, I believe, can increase a little. I think that with the healthy Deshaun Watson, I think Amari Cooper's numbers could go up to over 1,300 yards if health prevails. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I'm going to include them together. I think they're kind of where they're going to be. I think they're going to be between 1,000 where they are right now up to about 1,200. And I say that because the Cincinnati Bengals includes Tyler Boyd a lot in the passing game, and they also throw it to the tight end a bunch. And so I think that these guys are going to be somewhere between 1,000 and up to about 1,200. Now, one of them may have a breakout year, but that ball is pretty much distributed pretty equally across the board. And so I think those guys are where they are. I think that Deontay Johnson, I'm gonna pair him with George Pickens since they're teammates for the Steelers. I think they raised their numbers to around 1,000 apiece. I think with a fully healthy Kenny Pickett, understanding the game even more, and adding Allen Robinson to take some pressure off these two, I think that offense becomes more explosive, and I think they get up to around 1,000 yards apiece. And then Mark Andrews, I expect his numbers to come down some. And I expect his numbers to come down some simply because they've, that being the Baltimore Ravens, have added some nice pieces at the wide receiver corps. And I think that with the emergence of Isaiah Likely, I think that Mark Andrews won't have to carry such a heavy burden. But I think 847 was a good number for Mark Andrews simply because this was kind of an injury plagued season. He had some injuries he dealt with, missed a game or two. And so 847 to come in at that number is still pretty decent. But I think his numbers come down and somebody replaces him as the Baltimore Ravens leading receiver. So that's the offensive output and record from the 2023 season. I think that each team certainly has has an ability to sustain their level of success or increase their level of success. I don't see anybody dropping because for the most part, every team brought back what they had. Offensively, I don't remember anybody having any big losses. In fact, the Steelers and the Ravens, of course, made big offensive additions. And then the Browns and the Bengals kept their offensive guys. And I think the biggest addition to the division, of course, is Lamar Jackson healthy and a healthy Deshaun Watson. So I think it's going to be super, super competitive. So listen, let me know what you guys think from the foundation offensively last year that was put out there. Do you think each guy, who do you think has peaked in last year's numbers, and who you think has the potential to increase their numbers significantly? I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM. Stay tuned for the defensive version of this same analysis, and we're gonna get this thing going, establishing who is the beast of the AFC North. Listen, I appreciate you guys, and I'm out.